Welcome to Herlefeld for Farming Sim 2011, created by Desperados93 and SourceWorks. Well, hello all. We are one more session away from completing all these comments I have an Modhoster. I got just a couple pages left. It's been interesting to go through all of them, and our backdrop, of course, in this voiceover is what we're doing in this fine map. We are still chopping corn, and as you can see, we're chopping it into a trailer and we'll be hauling it to the BGA. There's actually, I'm on the northwest quadrant of the map. There's one little field tucked in there. We'll get done with it pretty short order, and then from here we'll kind of switch to the southwest quadrant. There's a field or two over there. There's more corn on here than met the eye kind of initially, so it's taken a fair bit of time. I don't know if it'll be quite enough to fill the BGA, but I already have one bunker filled and blanketed, and the next one, I believe by the end of this episode, I think we're close to filling that one as well. I was thinking of saving some for the livestock. I want to get cattle at some point, but I went ahead and blanketed the silo before I should have, so anyway, we'll reserve most of it for the BGA. And we're having no money problems whatsoever in this particular map, and I think in large part the reason is we own every single field in this version of Farming Sim, and most of them already had harvestable crops. But when we get done with the corn, we'll be done with all the arable crops, except for grass. I mean, there'd be a fair bit of grass to cut, if we wanted to. But anyway, let me return to these Modhoster comments, kind of right where I left off, and I'll see if I can finish these out in this episode. Oh, I can't even read whose name this is. It's actually a very nice map. However, my combine harvester always gets stuck in those. They put beep. I guess they are self-bleeping their own bad language. Get stuck in the wooden posts near field 2 when I'm using helper mode. Well, I don't know who you are, sir. I've got news for you. Your combine is going to get stuck in every bleep field, so that's just kind of the nature of it here. And we've talked about it before as to what it would take. You basically need to edit the map and edit away all the collisions, if you want to be able to drive through the fences. Might be a nice feature. I've already done it with the trees. Hi everyone, where can I find the biogas plant? Where it's shown on the PDA, there's a sawmill. Yeah, someone has a script problem. We've seen this time and time again. And part of the problem is, and when I printed these comments, I don't think Modhoster nests the comments, and when I went on there to print these, it wouldn't let me show all the nested comments. So in other words, if people are replying to these comments, with an answer, we don't see it. Just kind of a string of all the top thread comments, if you will. So hopefully someone came in and answered most of these, although I kind of doubt it. Is it just me, or is there no silos at my biogas plant, but rather masses of wood lying around? Yeah, 2 comments in a row, so I'm guessing nobody helped them. And these were, 3 months apart. Yeah, this comment being left, one was January 8th of 2012, and the other was April 8th of 2012. Could someone please give me a link to the necessary BGA scripts from Hetty as soon as possible regarding the map? It's simply amazing. I've been playing on it for days and I'm always satisfied. Well, good for you. That's a wonderful comment. But he also is missing. There's 3 comments in a row missing the BGA script. And I seem to recall in the description they did eventually provide links, so maybe it's still before the map author or whoever, provided a link. Let's see, speaking of, why aren't the download links included directly in the description? It's such a hassle to search for them this way. I also need the map door trigger and the BGA scripts. Yeah, we've talked about this ad nauseum. It's tough, when you're trying to play it and have to hunt for a whole bunch of mods. That reminds me, I'm in a Discord group with a group of guys, and one of them showed a picture today. This would be for Farm Sim 25 now. But they showed a picture of someone's map that is released on the main mod hub, that is with Farming Simulator. And in the picture was probably 50 to 75 links, I would estimate, of quote required mods. The way the Giants have made, the new system, they basically want all the buildings or whatever in a map to become placeable. So what this map author did was, I don't know if they made all those objects or if they borrowed them from someone else, but if you don't have all those, quote, required mods, you probably would open your map and there wouldn't be a doggone thing in it. So it's kind of come full circle, even as we sit here with Herlefeld, and there are several, not required mods. You don't have to have the BGA, but most people sounds like, they want it. But if you wanted these other features, you had to download not only the map, you had to download several other mods, if you will, to get it to run. So, although back in this day, and even all the way to Farm Sim 25, really they could all be embedded in the map if you really wanted to. It's just kind of interesting how some things have changed and yet some things never change. Best map of all time. Help, I can't get my grain out of the silos anywhere. I've stored over 100 tons of wheat and can't access it. Please help quickly. Yeah, everybody wants quick help. Of course, probably they discover the problem while they're playing it, and they come leave a panicked comment on here to figure out how to deal with it. So, yeah, I eventually had to figure this out too. One more nod towards having a manual for the map. This comment makes no sense. Hey, super, lob LOBE to the at mother. Okay, I don't know what the app means. Nether says, I have a question. There's a BGA on my map. It's displayed, but it's only a wood storage area. Hey, it seems like this is a very common comment. It's probably 5 of the last 6. Another person says, oh, yeah, and this one adds, I have searched the entire map and cannot find it. Gulp. Can anyone help me? My game keeps freezing and then the whole farming simulator crashes. Otherwise, it's a great map. Kudos to the modder. Yeah, having a clue, what causes it to freeze, you'd have to see the person's log file. That was a recurring refrain, and it's still that way. The game will put together a log file, and really if you're having trouble like this, it's a good habit to get into where you ask the question to also post your log file so someone can help diagnose, what the problem is. Let's see. Hi, everyone. Can anyone tell me how many hectares of arable land this map has? Thanks in advance, because I really like the map itself. That's an interesting question. I don't know that I recall seeing it in here before. How many hectares? Yeah, I wouldn't have a clue. It's kind of hard to measure that. There's, I think in studying the Lua code, I have found some coding in the Giants mess of code, if you will, that would help you figure that out. Where, we all kind of know the standard map is 2,048 meters by 2,048 meters, just a little over a kilometer. Or is that 2 kilometers? Anyway, so using that, you can have square meters, but a lot of times, how do you figure that out when the fields are non-square? And so some of these formulas or Lua coding could help with that. But yeah, some people have figured it out. There's maybe a way that I'm just not aware of, or maybe it's an estimate. Let's see. I lost my place. But only in the case of Herlefeld. I haven't... Oh, I see. A person made a comment and said his game was freezing. So I think he's intending to say only freezing in the case of Herlefeld. Hello everyone, a new milk truck arrives at my farm every 10 seconds, causing a traffic jam. I don't think it goes every 10 seconds. I know a lot of time, I think the way the milk script works, or the milk truck, I thought there was 2 times a day that it attempted to send a truck out. And I don't think it's guaranteed either, by the way. If traffic is in the way and it's not able to find a path, I don't think it always goes. So who knows what this person is seeing, that would cause it to go every 10 seconds. That's a new one. This is the best map I've ever played. Best regards. Nice comment. When cars enter the motorway, they simply stop, and there are constant traffic jams at intersections. I think this could be improved. I've forgotten now. I'm pretty sure when I started this map up that I truncated the traffic because, it was jamming up the roads. So I think I've researched the app before. I knew where to tickle the code so we could get fewer cars, and that's really been helpful. I don't think I've seen the motorway cars stop though. Someone asks, can the bales only be disposed of at the bale shredder, or is there another place? I think I found 3 other places, all of them, I believe, on the main farm, or at least 2. No, I thought there was 3. Yeah, another thing that just isn't clear, and you'd have to literally open the map and search for them, in the editor to find it. So, yeah, I've just been taking mine to the bale shredder. Why not? Next comment, there are better maps out there. Well, that's really helpful, Zorro123, but no mention is made of what these other maps are. The map itself isn't bad. What bothers me, though, is that the shadows aren't quite right in some places. Tractors look like they're floating. It has nothing to do with the graphics setting. I only have this problem with this particular map. Does anyone have any suggestions? Well, that's a new comment. I don't recall seeing it before. Oh, hey, someone answered this. Tom, then just turn off the shadow. You could do that in the settings. That is. When you crank the graphics settings up, it will show more to you than when you crank it down. And because of limitations in the game engine's ability to render things, there's, the dreaded viewing circle for one that we're all used to. But even the shadows itself and its ability to render objects in the distance, there's just limitations. We'd all need a supercomputer probably to run it perfectly the way we'd like to. Someone can't find the BGA even though, oh wait a minute, I can't seem to find the BGA file even though I downloaded it. Can anyone help me? Maybe this person doesn't realize, he mentions the file. Maybe he doesn't realize where his own computer is downloading it or where to put it once he does download. Someone asked, does anyone know where the PhysX warning comes from? Has anyone already looked into it? Thanks in advance. I don't remember what the PhysX warning is, although it reminds me of the problems I had just getting the game to continue running for at least a half hour without crashing. Maybe it has something to do with that. Yeah, we dealt with that in a previous episode. Very thankful. I haven't had any problems since, ever since having that little application help to expand the memory. Another person asks, hi, the map is really great, but I have 2 questions. How do I sow and harvest hops, and how do I buy pigs? I would be grateful for an answer. Keep up the good work, programmers. I think he's on the wrong map. Yeah, there's nothing here with either hops or pigs. So, although he says, I'm looking forward to version 3. I guess it's something I don't know. Maybe if someone knows, they can mention it in the comments. Maybe earlier versions had hops and pigs in them. Yeah, I don't think this version 3 has it. Someone asks, can you also sell liquid manure and solid manure there? Nope, I don't think there's any trigger. You know, honestly though, I haven't searched for them. Maybe they are lurking in there, but I don't think so. Someone says, in short, the map is simply top. A huge thank you to the modder. It is very clear and well organized, but also large enough to drive for quite a while, hee hee. Very hilly, lots of grassy areas and fields that are easy to cultivate. Great map for great people. Meaning, he puts an asterisk by it, meaning great for passionate farming simulator players. No slow mores. I don't know what he means by that. Maybe something that got lost in Google Translate. And yeah, he's right. It is a great map. I do love its hills. Yeah, I tend to shy away from the flat maps, and this one has abundant hills. Adds extra challenges. Let me see here. Alright, next page. This person said, this map is simply awesome. If you're still looking for a map or constantly searching for a good one, you've come to the right place. I highly recommend it. Thanks to the modders who created this map. Hear, hear. That is right on. And folks, we are down to the last page. Woohoo! Okay, this person says, oh, here it is again. Where can I find the biogas plant? There's a wood factory where the biogas plant is supposed to be. Help! Yeah, this has been covered many times. Awesome app. I've already spent 273 hours on it. That's a fair bit of time. The only problem is my BGA isn't working. I can bring in silage, it ferments, but I can't empty the silo. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. My log is clean. See, this person at least mentions a log. And we're going to be finding out in short order here. You know, the past several episodes, we've been loading up the bunkers with more chopped corn. For all I know, it isn't going to work for me either. So, but never fear, I think we will get it working, even if it doesn't. I'll figure it out, because I want to get my stuff out of there, and I think I may know enough to do it. Well, hopefully, we'll see. Another person asks, what is add-on VE2? Maybe that's the Autobahn part. I really don't know. Hi, is there a hay barn on the map? If so, where is it? Thanks in advance. Don't know what that means, if they're asking for a place to sell the hay or a place to store it. I can't. There's several open buildings, if I recall correctly, that you could store hay in if you wanted, I suppose. This is simply a really good map. It's large, has beautiful textures, and is lag-free. Thanks for this map. Well, pal, and maybe it was lag-free for you. You probably have a much better computer than I do. It definitely, mine still struggles with it, but at least I don't crash anymore. 720 Vario Power says, I think the map is cool. I agree. Another person says, huge praise to the modder. The map is amazing. Large fields, beautifully designed. It never gets boring to play. The best part is the highway. And he's got a laughing sign. Well, I agree with most of what you're saying. I would respectfully disagree on the highway. I think the best part is the farming part of the map in all parts. Someone says, I have a huge problem. How do I open the gate while loading? Yeah, that probably is a problem. Missing a script. You need the map door trigger. Nickelger. Oh yeah, that's his name. Nickelger. Oh, so many different names. Yeah, so someone, maybe it did, print some of the nested comments. He's still trying to help him out here, so that's good. And then Nickelger says, well, where can I get the map or trigger? And, of course, nobody answers that. Easy to tell someone what they need, but it's also helpful if you point to them exactly where they need to go to get what they need. Supermark says, yeah, the map is awesome. I'd recommend it to almost everyone. Another person says, the map is great, but there are some problems with the milk truck. It comes every 2 minutes, and then there are 2 of them at once, causing a traffic jam, which is getting annoying. Is there any way to change that? I haven't spent that much time on the dairy farm down there, which is where I store, part of the machinery anyways. I guess I've never noticed this. This now is a second comment, where someone has said this. But, yeah, maybe if I spend more time down there, I'll find out what they're talking about. Another says, cool map, also make a version 3 for Farming Sim 13. Yeah, see, as I get towards the end of these comments, this here now is, let me see, this is December of 2012. Maybe people, well, let's see, in 2012, yeah, that's probably about when they would have started releasing, or maybe 2013 was already released. So, yeah, typically toward the end, people want to move to another version, the popular mods. And, I've done that a time or two. Sometimes it's easy, and there are other times it's really challenging and difficult. So, I don't even remember. I can't remember if I looked it up to know if the map author or somebody took it to 2013. Maybe they did. Someone says, when I go to the biogas plant, there's only a bale shredder and lots of stacked wood. Can someone help me? Yeah, if I had $1 every time we saw this kind of comment, we'd have a lot of dollars. Someone says, I can't download them. I don't know why. Please reply. Well, interesting. This person's name is January. I don't know what you're referring to when you say I can't download them. Someone says, is there a fire station on the map? In some of these earlier versions, it's amazing. You can look for the videos. There were a lot of guys that enjoyed the firefighting stuff. I think a mod finally came in Farm Sim 19, was it? Maybe it's 22, where there was a burning stacks of bales or fire type stuff, in the game at DLC. I made a mod for Farm Sim 15 for a fire that would spread and that the player had to put out. But back here, yeah, I know there was a lot of role play on that kind of thing. It's kind of neat. So this person's probably, I don't know if there is a fire station. I don't remember seeing one. Someone's asking here again, will the map also be available for FarmSim 13? In FarmSim 11, it was my favorite map. I used it almost all the time. It's so awesome. I hope it comes out for FarmSim 13. This is great. That's a great comment. The map is really awesome, especially with some fields fenced in. This is where you can't please everyone. This person here loves the fences, and then there's been lots of people that have complained about them. Hello, I have a request. Could you, the creator, convert the map to FarmSim 13? That would be so awesome. Please, I love this map. It's the best. Yeah, there's definitely a fan club here wanting it to be ported. Hi everyone, I can't cover the silage silo at my farm, and therefore I can't feed the cows fermented silage. Well, I was able to cover it, I believe, so I think that works. Evidently this person couldn't, so maybe it was an earlier version, I really don't know. Another person says, nice map, but I don't have a PGA and there's no traffic on the highway. Can anyone help me? Thanks in advance. And this is clear into 2014, this comment. What I would suggest to this person is read the map description, because I think by this point they would have had all those instructions in there on how to do that. So, got to read. Let's see, another person, this is also, the last two comments here were in 2014. How do you get the square straw bales onto the conveyor belt? Mine keep falling off. I urgently need help. Thanks in advance. Conveyor belt. I have no idea what they're talking about. I wonder if maybe another map. It could be this person is even talking about the base game map, and the main farming sim, or the Giants' own FarmSim 11 map. There's the old conveyor belt. Shoot, FarmSim 09 had that too, with the conveyor heading up into the barn. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Get it on there and it should hold it if you put it on square. So, final comment also by the same person. You can find the map door trigger on Modhoster, or you can search for it online, like I did. Yeah, that's kind of a subtle little flex and a little bit of a backhand. Isn't there a service where it's, what's it called? LMGFY. Let me Google that for you. Maybe there's a T in there. When someone asks a question anymore, most of us, we head to the internet, we ask our question in a browser, and we start hunting for the answer, and there's even more options now with AI and all that jazz. But I don't know, sometimes, people asking a question, there were people be so mean to them in the forums and what have you, just for asking a question, and I think people eventually figure it out at some point, or they don't. So questions abound. But anyway, that is all the comments that were in Modhoster on Herlefeld, at least for version 3 of the map. I think that there was version 2, version 1. I didn't look those up. For all I know, I don't know how Modhoster works. Maybe it accumulates all the comments in a single area when there's multiple uploads, basically of the same map. So I'm going to continue working on the corn here. Next episode I'll probably try to do it live as I play it instead of a voiceover here, but I really enjoy going through the comments. I might try that on some of the other apps. It's really interesting, looking back here now in 2026 to, these comments are over 10 years old, as to where people's heads were when they were looking at it back then. We have all the benefit of hindsight, of course. I also want to share, and I will be at some point in here, want to share. I've been working on a mod. I may have mentioned it in passing before. I can't remember. Um, but maybe just real briefly, those that know kind of some of the iterations of the game know that in Farm Sim 17 we were now forced to plow. I think every third crop year we had to do it, or else the yield of our crop could be impacted. And versions prior to this, was kind of, you could either plow or you could cultivate. It really didn't make a difference, so a lot of times, people just wouldn't deal with a plow. I know I did it. I mean, it's kind of hanging out there at an angle, and so it was much easier just to grab a cultivator instead of doing some of that deep ripping. But I've been working on a mod to force players in versions, at least Farm Sim 11. I also have one for 15 that I'm working on that forces the player to periodically plow. And the way it does is it removes the field texture. So if there's any planted crop, it won't take it out. You can harvest the crop, that'll be fine, but you can't plant it on that particular spot until you run a plow over it. So it isn't going to impact the whole field, it only impacts parts of the field. So eventually, when the player sees too many spots in the field, if you will, and he'll want to take a plow there to clean it up and make it so he can plant it again. I've done some tests, and over time, it happens every night at midnight, when it makes this adjustment. And if you let about 10 game days go by, it will eventually impact your yield by about 20%. So it just steadily decreases the amount of arable land. So that will, of course, end up impacting your yield, because you kind of take little bits of the field out of production, if you will. So I don't know. It probably isn't something for everyone. Maybe it would be annoying to people. It doesn't really look the best, I can say that, adding all those spots, but I don't know, it's something. So maybe in another episode I'll share kind of where that is, and at some point we'll try to get it released, maybe even on Modhoster. But for now, thanks for listening, and you all have a good day.